here I am, in the place to be. Mr. K&B, you fuck with me. Extra sexy, extraordinary. Palms are hairy, your mama pop my cherry.
What up, y'all? It's K&B, the Sexy Ninja, in the place to be for a Paper Saber universe, and this is the Sexy Ninjacast, the podcast for that ass. I am going to talk about a movie, and this is the first in many of this series going forward. And if you haven't heard on the last podcast, Sexy Ninjacast, the New World podcast is laid to rest. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be not talking about some pro wrestling. I just watched Monday Night Raw last night, and I had a good time. I enjoyed the end of it. But now, I want to focus on other things. I want to do things that I, don't normally get to do because I'm so involved. I was so involved with the wrestling, to writing the notes and this and that. But I wanted just to take some time to be more creative and talk about things that move me, that inspire me. And this movie was all inspiring of like, what the fuck? And I'm talking about The Bride. Oh, yes. Starring Jessie Buckley as the bride of Frankenstein, Christian Bale as Frankenstein's monster, Julianne Hough, Iris Jinx, Jake Gyllenhaal as Ronnie Reed. This is directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and I gotta say, it is one wild ride. It starts off like, I can't explain how much I really enjoyed this movie. Yes, I really enjoyed this movie. Jessie Buckley plays a dual role as the bride and Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. And this is a story that is old as time itself. And it's Frankenstein's monster, who's played by Christian Bale. The acting in this is superb. I mean, is amazing. And it starts off with, he wants to, what do you call it? He wants a bride. He wants love. He wants to not be alone anymore. He's this monster, and he goes and finds this doctor, and he says, create me my own bride. I don't want to be alone anymore. A lot of people can understand that. And the style of this movie is all over the place. And it's like, it does it want to be artsy? Does it want to be that? Because there's this weird Mary Shelley possession storyline going on, and it's like, do we play onto that, or do we play into the Bonnie and Clyde-esque that you do in the second part of this movie, And it's just trying to find itself. Peter Sarsgaard's in it, man. He plays Jake Wiles, and he, he's this detective, and he kind of comes in later on to the film. But we started off with the monster and the bride, and after she dies, she gets pushed down the stairs. I guess she's I'll get to the plot twist. She's at this party, and she's like getting crazy. Then she gets possessed, and then she starts talking all this crazy stuff. But her possession gets even crazier as she's talking, and just the acting alone. And they pull her into a hallway, her friends of this group. They're like, calm the fuck down, blah, blah, blah. And of course, she falls down the stairs, and breaks her neck. And I just love the possession part of it when they kept cutting back to Shelley. And she's like, tell your story. Who are you? Here comes the motherfucking bride, It was just like, oh, we set the tone off very well in this movie. And I was just like, oh, man, all right, let's go. And Christian Bale's performance, I mean, he's Christian Bale. He's that actor, man. And he's really taking this role very seriously. And I appreciate that about him. And the style, and the cinematography of this movie, and like I said, the editing, it's just a strange, like, you got to get through the first half of this movie because this movie doesn't know what it wants to be. I know the story they're trying to tell, especially with the bride herself, and then she creates this movement for women, you know, and they have the mark on their face and they're going crazy. They're shooting, you know, liberating women and stuff like that, you know, and saying how all men are evil. You know, even the cop who was supposed to be like, you're supposed to be like, oh, he was in love with her. He knew her before this and that. Now you kind of find out he's a piece of shit too. and then you know, and the monster is constantly lying to her, saying, we had this beautiful life before. And she keeps on saying, we had a beautiful life, you know, okay, you know, she's believing it. And he gives her the name Penny. That's his lucky penny, you know. And what I really like about the monster side of it is he's lived for so long and he's so delusional. His comfort in himself is the movies. That's why he falls in love with Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Ronnie Reed. He's a big actor in this world, you know, and that's his movie. He knows all about him. He knows that his one leg's shorter than the other, and that's his comfort. You know, and I get that. You know, we crave for our security blankets, and that's the monsters. He's like, we got to go to the movies, you know. And there's a moment where they're in New York because they're on the run, and they go to the movies, and she's like, let's go see this movie real quick. And she's like, well, let's not do that movie. You've already seen it a bunch of times. Let's go to this movie. And it's a horror movie. And I like when he goes to the movies, he sees himself in the picture. And her taking him to this movie was like, you know, it was all 3D glasses and stuff. And it's a monster film. And of course, you know, the crowd's like, oh no, it's the monsters. Oh, and they chase him out. And they're chasing him. And on the screen is them like, oh, you know, and that's his depiction of reality and life. And fast forward, they go and they run off. They go into a party where Robbie actually is, and he gets starstruck. He's like, I know you. I see. Oh, it is true. You know, there's your shoes made to make you look this side. But, you know, he's geeking out. And, of course, the cops break in. Well, before this, there's this crazy dance sequence. I don't know what was going on, but it just a dance sequence breaks out in this movie, and I'm like, what is going on? But I'm enjoying myself, and at this point, I think the wife checked out. She's like, all right, I don't know what this is trying to be. I was like, I don't know what this is trying to be, but I'm enjoying the shit out of it. And this dance sequence breaks off, and then the cops come, then the bride grabs the gun, and she's pointing it at everybody. She does shoot an officer, but she's giving this great monologue. I mean, oh my gosh, and just the way she's saying it and this and that. And before things can pop off anymore, the monster pulls the chandelier and breaks, and they make their escape. Then after that, it becomes like Bonnie and Clyde. That they steal a car, they're taking clothes, they're doing this and that. They want to get in for the monster. He wants to go to Niagara Falls so he can officially marry the bride. You know, and then Niagara Falls is where they're going to go because he's so obsessed with movies and how it's portrayed, and that's the most, you know, that's the loveliest place you can think of. So that's where they go. And that's where everything starts to unravel. You find out that the bride in her past life was an informant to the cops. And, you know, it unravels, and she's getting to know herself a little bit more. And it all comes down to this big shootout. You know, the monster dies, and she takes him back to the doctor, says, fix him. And she's begging, and then, like, all of a sudden, here comes the cops, and bam, she gets lit up. And they're dead. Okay? and at the end, I was like, oh, my God. And then the doctor, she's, like, insane now because she's creating life. It's alive! You know? She re-sparks up that machine, and then you just see their hands touch, and it's like, the bride! Because they were meant to be together. I don't know if this movie's ever going to get a sequel. Probably not. But I got to say, it is one of these strange movies I got to own. And Maggie, this is her directional debut, I believe. I got the message, and I like stylistically, like I think she'll find her niche, once she like does more movies. And I think the story being told here with the bride and everything, and the Shelley possession was a little silly, but I also really liked it. I don't know. This movie really hit home, and I felt for the monster. He's just he just doesn't want to be alone. He wants to, but he's also lying, and he never wanted to do that to her. He never, when we meet him, we meet a monster, whatever, very timid, very shy. Then as they progress in the story, he gets a little bit more loud and this and that. He's still a little timid, but he's like, he lets loose, and then he gets lost in himself and in the lie of being like, yes, me and you in the past life and stuff like that. And her evolving as a character, but still she loves him. And I think that's that at the end, she loves him. No matter all the bullshit they just went through, she still wanted to be with him. And in the last scene where they grab hands after being electrocuted, it's like, oh, there's a happy ending here, I guess. And like I said, this movie is wild. Will I say it's the best movie I've ever seen? No. So I would give it a solid 3 out of 5, but stylistically, this movie's insane. Because it's a movie that doesn't know what it wants to be till the second half. And my wife said if it was more of a Bonnie and Clyde story, which we were going for, why it's set in this timepiece in this time, she says she'd be more down with it. So I'm thinking that's why when this movie came out, a lot of people were like, because I remember seeing the reviews, people popping up like, oh my God, this movie's awful, the worst movie. I'm like, no, I just think there's an audience for this. And I feel like I said, this is what Joker 2 should have been. As much as I did like Joker 2, the musical aspect of it, and I still think the first one's better, but I feel like this is what Joker Part 2 should have been, with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe the script was like, they changed desks. Maybe this was supposed to be the musical because of that awesome dance sequence. And seeing Christian Bale dance was like insane. I was like, you go, girl. But I highly recommend it, man. It might not be your taste of film. It might not. But go into it with an open mind. It's on HBO Max right now. And I'm glad I sat down and watched it. The wife did not care for it. She keeps saying, what the fuck did I just watch? And I was sitting there like a kid in a candy store because I just love movies this much, man. I'm just watching. I'm like, oh, look at this, man. I'm like, what's going on? And the progression of it. So I really enjoyed it, but it's 3 out of 5 for me, K&B. But I say go check it out. Have an open mind about it and just enjoy yourself. That's it. That's all. Okay? But that's The Bride, the Maggie Gyllenhaal movie, starring Jessie Buckley, Christian Bale, Julianne Hough, Jake Gyllenhaal, Peter Sarsgaard. I love that dude, man. And Penelope Cruz. Yes, I should talk about her character as well. Once again, she's solving this whole thing. As Myrna. Right? Okay, yeah. And Jake is the cop. And she's just like, if I help you solve this, I can get my name in the paper, right? And he's like, oh, that's not up to me. And you're like, oh, you're a piece of shit too. But she's the one that's figuring it all out as we go. And shout out to Annette Bening, who's the doctor. She's the one that wants to bring the monster alive and everything like that. But yeah, stellar cast, man. I enjoyed everybody. Everyone was superb in this movie. Yeah. So, watch the movie and just enjoy. And that's it. That's all. Get your popcorn, man. But that is The Bride. Now, like and subscribe. Share it with your grandma, share the bum down at Walmart. I'm K&B the Sexy Ninja. And remember to stay sexy, ninjas. Woo woo!
What are you doing? Go home! You do not want to get caught up with me.